time to strap in and get ready. The leaders in NRL Supercoach are incoming. Bringing you the ultimate insight to help you win your leagues and climb up the rankings. You're now listening to the Insight NRL Show with your hosts, Brain, Metrics, and Whisperer.
Yes, g'day guys. Welcome back to the Insight NRL Show. We do have our final positional tiers episode coming at you tonight, and it is, of course, the men at the back, the fullback. Very contentious position this year. It's a position, boys, that's divided the Supercoach community, I guess you could say. Josh, first of all, mate, how's we're recording this obviously after Vegas. How is the Star City Casino, first of all?
Expensive. I was in a shout, and I was paying $49 for 3 pints every hour and a half. It was rough.
Every hour and a half. You got to pump up those numbers.
I was going to say slow. Thank God Matrix wasn't there because I'd be drunk and broke. But mate, it was good. Obviously, always good, as you know firsthand. It's good to watch footy with some like-minded people. But there with a couple of fancy friends, there with a couple of Supercoach friends as well. So we all had multiple fingers in different pies. But yeah, it was good, mate. There's a lot of discourse from that game, and both you boys are Zach Hosking owners. So I'll ask you how your weekend was. But I will just say rent in Canberra, I'm not too sure how expensive it is. But Zach Hosking might not have to pay it for a couple of weeks with how much rent-free he is in some people's heads.
Yes. I mean, I won't comment on it as an owner because I feel like I've already put my thoughts out there. If you want to know what I think, I don't actually know. Did I even put my thoughts out there? I'm not stoked. I don't think he gets the try assist. I don't think he should, first of all. So I'm not in that camp, but I do think he gets the line break assist. Matty, what do you think, mate? Does he deserve any points in that play?
Yeah, look, he should have got points, I think. But hey, he had a ripper game, and that was probably what I expected, and a touch more. I wasn't probably as high on Hosking as everyone else, but I couldn't afford to go too many other places because I decided to keep Aaron Clark last minute. So yeah, look, it is what it is. I think that we'll end up getting some friendly updates during the season. It usually ends up happening. It's not always bad. Like everybody goes quiet when he gets an extra 15 points. So.
Mate, that's my one big qualm. I keep saying this to Brano and stuff. It's like last year, Terrell May got the most dubious try assist and line break assist, and upgraded from like 53 to like 90. And everyone was like, "Oh, how good's this? This is the best thing in the world. Amazing, how good!" But the minute it fucking flips, people that just keep the same energy. That's all I ask. If you're gonna cry when it doesn't go your way, better be crying when it does go your way.
Yeah, it swings and roundabouts. You always get a few throughout the season that you don't earn, and a few go against you. So that's just Supercoach. But boys, we're here to talk fullbacks. Before we talk fullbacks, guys, today's episode is brought to you by the Standard Squeeze, helping you drink responsibly and conveniently. You can go to thestandardsqueeze.com, use their code or our code, IFS2025, and you can get yourself 15% off everything inside the store there. Matrix, when it's a Standard Squeeze episode, he loves throwing a little 30 ml shot in and chucking one in his mouth. There you go. Shout out to the Standard Squeeze. And if you drop that on the floor right now, with the lid on, of course, it wouldn't break. Happy days.
Doesn't.
Good shout. Let's boys, let's talk fullbacks. I think we can all agree it's the most important position on the field this year. Where it's the reason why we've jumped in with the flex position now, and we get that extra position for any position on the field, and we've gone with those 3 fullbacks. Whether it's 3 guns or whether you've gone 2 guns and this first man on the screen, Isaiah Yongi, he's divided the community, Josh, to kick things off, hasn't he? I mean, you're either 65% of people have Yongi to start. Obviously, Latrell Mitchell being out definitely bumps those numbers up. But it's pretty obvious where he sits in this. But can he lean into, or maybe a better question, Josh, where do you think the ceiling is in terms of season average before he tops out in price and we start to move him on?
Yeah, so, I mean, just looking at sort of last year in terms of like, value that we're giving up and whatnot. Like the worst fullback in the league's, averaging 45, 50. Like, and Iongi is much better than the worst fullback. For me, it's been a very weird preseason for mine because I've been against him, I've been on him. I've settled on being on him due to what I think was the fullback 1 going down. which definitely shook things up. So for me, it's like pretty simple there, especially when you look at Walsh, who's not goal kicking. You look at Drinkwater, who's not goal kicking. It's a lot of money to be spending on a non-goal kicker. I can speak from first-hand experiences due to last-minute team changes. But no, look, I think for the value that he presents, the teams that I built with him in it, the teams I built without him in it, I like my structure a lot more. I like having stability all over the park, and that's where I've opted to end on it. I think he can probably get to 550, and then we can sell him. Even with him though, like he gets one score of 100, we can ride that baby all the way for 6-7 weeks.
Yeah. Do you agree, Matty? Do you think that top end's around that 55 mark to start the year, or do you think there's a bit of a bigger ceiling there to increase that cash gen early?
I mean, I don't know, and that's probably why I don't own him. I'm just allowing myself to have a little bit of a look and jumping off whichever one of my 3-gun fullbacks fall off a little bit later on. But yeah, look, I think Jareem Buller 2 years ago. I think that's kind of his ceiling and kind of what I think about him. So yeah, and it becomes so much easier with the flex position. You guys are right.
Yeah, for sure. In terms of the tiers, for every episode we've done this year, we've got some good feedback as well. We might tweak a few things next year, but for this episode, we've got set and forget, potential keeper, value pick, what it says on the tin, and brother. I think it's safe to say that we've got one of the best value picks in the league to kick things off this year. I wouldn't call him a potential keeper at this point because you're going to want to get him up to, I'm sure, a few men that we'll talk about today.
So the Vegas games have been. So I just can't see Dane Laurie on your list. Fullback only Dane Laurie. He's averaging 88 at this point in the season. Any love for Dane Laurie before we continue?
Well, unfortunately, Dane Laurie is not in the top 20 most owned fullbacks, mate. So he doesn't feature in this episode. Yeah, ripped off by the community, I think. But
yeah,
how did you know that he got 88? Does he stay on the wing?
I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. He's owned by 36 people. So shout out to those 36 people.
Absolute from the future type stuff. That's what that is.
No, he's going to score 88. So
I don't feel like talking about Dane Laurie, boys. I probably think there's better use of our time, but Kalen Ponga is a good use of our time. 48.2% owned. He's clearly the main fullback or one of the two fullbacks that people are running with to start things off. I can't argue against it. 790K. Very, very nice run of games as well, I might add. A lot of these fullbacks we're talking about might be pretty easy to tier, Josh, to be honest. So it's probably worth us diving in a little bit further into why we're picking these guys over potentially the other picks.
Yeah, so obviously KP question becomes sort of, why him over other guys? I think he's actually probably the most expendable if you did want to go another a gun in terms of my own personal mental health. I know that a man that we'll talk about in a couple of picks' time, I just cannot watch without. And KP, it depends on how much faith you want to put in the Knights. If you're high on the Broncos and think Walsh is going to hum on that left edge, you can definitely go to him. If you're a Cowboys fan for whatever reason, you can go Drinkwater. He looks pretty good in the trials. But for me, I've opted for KP. I just think he's a one-man team. Maybe a bit different this year with the emergence of Fletcher Sharp playing 6, but I like the fact that KP was swinging both sides of the field, gets his edges involved, gets his outside backs involved as well. Goal kicks, which is a huge, huge tick as well. We know that attacking team, it's going to net him probably another 10 to 11 points a game. So that's where I've gone. The draw at the start of the season is pretty good. Buying around 4. So if it isn't going too well at the start of the season, it's a nice early jump off point to go to another one of these guns. But for me, KP has been the staple in my team, and it hasn't really moved all preseason.
Or maybe I've haunted myself from last year trading him out after round 2 when he started really slow, and then he proceeded to average 100 over the next 5 games after that. Matrix held on to him. Josh, me and you, we jumped off. So Matty got one up on us there and a very early rankings lead. I'm not doing it again this year. I can tell you that much. I'll be holding Kalen Ponga for the foreseeable future, I think. But you've got a pretty good strategy. I'll come to you in a second on that one. Matty, anything to add on Ponga? Obviously, the draw is a big factor here for the Knights. If we think that they're going to do well, there's every chance that Ponga could be the fullback one just due to the free run that they've got to start things off.
Yeah, and I'm not sure I'm super high on Newcastle, but 790K even feels like a little bit of a discount for goal kicking Kalen Ponga. I'm excited. Greg Marju's healthy, that left edge of Dylan Lucas and yeah, Marju just looks fantastic. I'm excited to see him in full flight. No doubt that's why he's 48% owned. I probably don't need to elaborate too much. Everybody else kind of feels the same way, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've got the draw on the screen there. We can see that the Newcastle Knights play the Tigers, Dolphins, and the Gold Coast Titans to kick things off. The first 3 games, pretty easy games to start the year. I might go and punish myself as a Tigers supporter at Campbelltown on Friday and just watch Kalen Ponga tear my team up. But I'll probably have some sort of armband on him to kick things off. But it is a very nice draw before their bye. You can jump off, like Josh said, at the bye. You've talked about a tactic potentially of playing a little bit of fullback roulette, Josh, with another player that has a pretty nice draw. Talk everyone through that.
Yeah, so it's KP and Walsh. If you didn't want to run both of them, then you can run KP rounds 1, 2, 3, sell in round 4 for Reese Walsh, which is 4 and 5, and then buy KP back in round 6 and run him basically 6 all the way up until 11. You can even hold him for 12. They play Penrith, and Penrith are on the Origin bye. So, yeah, you can even hold that if KP doesn't play. Basically, boys, that gets you from rounds 1 to 11 with 2 trades. It gets you the Tigers, Dolphins, Titans, Dolphins, Tigers, Tigers, Sharks, Warriors, Rabbitohs, Titans, Eels, which in 11 weeks is 1 top 8 opponent, the Tigers 3 times, the Dolphins twice, and the Titans twice. Pretty ideal. Nice. I think your captaincy, your vice captaincy will be on KP or Walsh in all 11 of those weeks.
Perfect scenario, really, isn't it? If you have no other fires to put out. So in other words, you will have other fires to put out. We know what Supercoach is like. So if you can make that happen and you get your starting picks right and you don't cop injuries, HIAs and all the other stuff that goes on, then happy days. You can play a bit of roulette there. And that might be the go for myself as well and my team to kick things off. But let's just chuck him in set and forget. Pretty easy conversation. Don't need to talk about that too much. Yep. Tom Trbojevic, probably another set and forget, I guess, 34.8% owned, 875K though. So there is an extra 85K we've got to spend to go from Ponga up to Turbo. A lot of people running the Iongi Ponga Turbo combination. Of pretty obvious reason why, Matty. 5 of the first 7 at 4 Pines Park. We know that Turbo, I think, averages near, is it 90, Josh? You did the numbers from memory?
Yeah. 89.5 since 2022, and it's a very, very large sample. It's about 10 points better than him at non-4 Pines as well.
There you go. So talk to us about Turbo. Is he in your team at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. If that was for me. I'm all in on Turbo. Probably captain week 1. Again, going to be pretty keen to captain him a lot of weeks, depending on where Ponga and who Ponga and Walsh are playing as well. But yeah, look, Turbo captain can't. Turbo, unless he injures himself, doesn't really seem to have that 40 or 50 in him. I think that he is as safe as any fullback, to be honest. Shame he doesn't goal kick, but yeah. I can't see him not own Turbo. Oh,
could you imagine?
No, actually, we'd go insane. We'd be paying 1.1 mil today.
We literally all fell over to get Teddy a couple of years ago when he got kicked and he was shocking. Imagine if Turbo got kicked at even a league average or even just below league average. It would be 70%. Criminal. It would be criminal.
Yeah. It would be interesting. I guess, the only issue I think is the injury history for Turbo. He's played 7, 15, 7, 11, and 18 games over the last 5 years. So we know that there's an injury risk there. But at the end of the day, I think even if he does, that's why we've got 46 trades. Even if he does go down, you trade him out. And the good thing is at the price that he's at, I actually don't see him losing money initially. He's got Souths. He had Souths last year. I'm looking at 2024 stats. Their draw. Yeah. Obviously, the Cowboys aren't exactly standouts either this year, are they? Like, they're going to have to come down. We know that they're not exactly great away from home either, the Cowboys. So I think week 1 could be prime captaincy option. And this year you can do the old fullback into fullback VC and C if you go on that strategy. Unless you win a one-gun fullback scenario like our friend Brent in the Patreon, who's probably the only person I've actually seen that's done that. So shout out to him. But Turbo.
He's probably the only person that's actually had 10 people play already too. I think he had Metcalf.
Better than all 3 of us, probably combined as well. So shout out to him.
He has. He's had a great start. Yes, yeah, he did.
He wasn't.
He also had Yo and a few other left side pick left. I think he had Kalero who got 60 odd as well. Yeah, he had a few good picks to start that were very pottish. So shout out to Brent. Boys, Reese Walsh again, probably a set and forget, unless you guys can talk me out of it. 738K. Yeah, you're right. No goal kicking, but do we think maybe Matty, you start first? You're the Broncos fan. Do we think that Reese Walsh takes that next step with Madge now? Does the coaching make a difference here, or does Ben Hunt make the big difference, you think?
I'm not 100% sure. I just loved what I saw in the trials from him. He looked extremely engaged. He looked extremely fit. He still looked like Reese Lightning. He looked very, very fast. I don't know. Like, I didn't have him in my team because I probably wasn't as high on the Broncos. I try not to get too worked up because I only like to get let down by them once. But look, Reese looked fantastic. I think if there's going to be any changes, look, to have a Reese Walsh and Jesse Arthur stack is just, just makes my day.
Why do we keep giving Ben Hunt the credit to unlock Reese Walsh when we should be putting stock into that beautiful outside combination of Jack Kaseki, Jared Shibasaki, and Jesse Arthur? I feel like that core backline, core edge is really being under effect.
I feel like there might be a few cutout passes between Jesse Arthurs and Reese Walsh.
Just a few.
Yeah.
You know how you generally get the defense with like a double pump because they all slide. I still think you could slide and throw the ball short and it still would be fine defensively. It's going to be very interesting to see how Walsh unlock. Yeah, we'll use that word, unlock the outside.
I can't argue against Reese Walsh. I'm scared not owning him, to be honest, at this point in time. I think if there was another fullback,
I'm scared not owning, but I'm also scared owning too. It's like you can't win.
He's one of those guys he's a hard watch too, because he gets involved in 2 or 3 plays and scores the majority of his points, but he just tries to do so much as well. Like on his day, he could score you 120, 130 and get his hands on everything, but he's had a few stinkers in his time as well. So maybe Madge kind of cleans up that part of his game and he has less of those really bad games with tons of errors, but I can see him making a pretty big impact this year, especially with Ben Hunt.
I think it was 2023. Yeah, 2 seasons ago. There's about 4 weeks in a row where at the 75th minute mark, he was on about 21 and all 4 weeks he finished on about 110. It's a rocky ride.
It's not for the weak, that's for sure. You've got to have a Teflon coat when you're watching Reese Walsh. But do we agree set and forget if you're going to pick him to start, or are we going to say potential keeper? I'd say set and forget for me.
Set and forget for me too.
Yeah, set and forget for me.
Cool.
It's hard, because I feel like he's maybe a little bit more of a roller coaster than Tom Trbojevic and Kalen Ponga, but I still think overall you could just keep him, and it's going to depend on how the Broncos are going. If the Broncos are pretty ordinary, and he's priced at an ordinary Broncos price. If the Broncos are humming and he's getting that ball, he could be $1 million.
I mean, when we look at, the roller coaster is due to the fact that the base just really isn't there for Walsh. He does so much more with everything else. But Turbo's base is 31, Ponga's base is 23, Walsh's base is 18. So that's why you're going to get those roller coasters. But obviously then we look at the scoring stats and the evade stats. Walsh is one of the leaders. So let's move on to the 5th most owned fullback. And obviously we've included the duels in this episode just for the sake of it, because if we tried to go fullback, just fullback only positions, I think we'd start talking about Trey Fuller somehow. And I don't know whether you want to hear about Trey Fuller unless Hammer goes down this year. Kyo Weeks, 5th most owned fullback. He is available at 5'8", 12.2% owned. Canberra Raiders fans probably jumping on Kyo Weeks. Only a 30, I think it was in Vegas for priced at, I think, a 54 or something like that. Josh, I mean, can you see the appeal for Kyo Weeks, or is it more a matter of maybe people hoping that he takes that next step?
Yeah, very fortunate that he is dual, because we gave our opinions on him before Vegas, so it doesn't look like I'm being overreactionary here. But when we did 5'8", I was in the Brother Ur category. After Vegas, I'm still in the Brother Ur category. His numbers are worse at fullback than they are at 7. His average last year was heavily bumped up due to playing 7.
And goal kicking.
When Fogg was out, and goal kicking. So for me, it's great player. I'd have him at the Tigers. Most clubs would have him. You can't touch him for Supercoach. unfortunately not. So for me,
What
it's
price would he? Sorry,
probably-
what price would he need to be, Matty, to go? Yeah, cool. I like Weeks as an option.
How much is Iongi?
Good. Low 200s, mate. So
in like real talk, like if he was like 380, I'd take him at
think
I'd
sub
take him at
4.
5'8". Yeah.
Sub 4, I'd have him. Yeah, for sure. So we're going to chuck him in. I think just for consistency, we'll chuck him in Brother He hasn't really done anything else that we've heard of, aside from not do very well in Vegas. So Fletcher Sharp, 636K, even more expensive than Kyo Weeks. He is available at centre wing and playing in the 5'8 position as far as we're aware. We're recording this one day before TLT, so who knows how much of this is going to blow up before we get a chance to release it. But what do we think about Fletcher Sharp? He looked good in the trials, Josh. He was very impressive, ran the ball well. We see a lot of ball going down that left edge as well, which is, positive for Ponga and Marju and Lucas and all of these other guys that we own. Do you think there's any logic there that we can have Fletcher Sharp in the centre wing? Because you wouldn't have him at fullback, of course.
I'm a big fan. I actually, like, from what I've seen in the trials, I'm a huge fan. I think he gets through a fair bit of work. He's got like a lot of attacking spark. I think he's the second option, which is fantastic. Just doesn't goal kick. I think like not a guy that I can touch for classic because I've got too much stock in like the left edge already. In the Knights do have the early buy, so I can't load up too hard. But I'm actually quite keen, especially from a draft standpoint. So for me, it's probably like what it says on the tin, which is good because he's priced at like a 65. So all aboard.
What would you have, Matty? We're talking draft, obviously classic. He might be a bit outpriced, but in draft, what would you be putting up to get Fletcher Sharp in your team? Or do you disagree with Josh that maybe he's not someone that you'd be looking at?
No, I think he's a great draft option. And I like to talk about where players' values lie. Especially in draft. Yeah. And especially at draft, his value lies at center wing. So, and like in the formats that we've been playing, you can have 4 center wings. And he's going to be right up there. So, mate, I think if you're high on him, he could be a top 30 player. So at 630K, it's a little bit hard, but maybe he has those teething issues where he shows these glimpses and you can just get him a little bit later on. They're not going to change him from center wing fullback just because he doesn't play in the centers or the wing all year. So I'm excited to see what happens.
The duel's handy. Obviously, people complaining about the fact he doesn't have the 5'8 duel when he's playing 5'8. And just so everybody knows, if they're a little bit confused around it, if you already have 2 positions, you can't have a position taken away and then a new one added. Just because people have probably already picked him in their teams and have him at center wing. So it's just a fuck around in the system. Probably blow the whole UI of the app up if they did take a position away.
Something very similar in FPL. So FPL have a rule where you can't have more than 3 players from one side. And like, if you ever have 3 players and then someone gets like a transfer, like if you have like, for example, say same rule in the NRL, if you have like 3 Tigers, so you have 3 Dragons, right? And you have David Clemmer, and obviously he goes to the Dragons, and you have 4. What FPL do is you can't make a trade until you trade out 1 Dragon. Like you're locked in the whole season. So it'd be pretty cool to have a concept like that in NRL. I reckon if you could like be only locked to so many, it'd make buy planning really interesting. Like you couldn't load up on like 6 or 7 guys from one team. But for me, Sharp lies pretty firmly on what it says on the tin, boys, and I'm seeing that you guys agree.
I can't see growth at 600K. Can you, Brandon?
Not at that price, no chance. I mean, look, I think if we got to the end of the year and he averaged 65, I'd be like, yeah, I can see that. I could see that happening. Does that mean I'm going to buy him at a price at a 65 to start the year? No, I'm going to look for value elsewhere. So, what it says on the tin for sure. Now let's talk Scotty Drinkwater, boys. 8.1% owned, 770K. I was very keen. I tell you what, I was super keen. Off the back of last year, he was fantastic last year. Obviously, Val Holmes leaving opened up the door for a goal kicker, right? And we didn't really see 198K Tom Duffy coming into the team and kicking in the early preseason. So I was all aboard the Scotty Drinkwater train. But that train left the station pretty quickly as soon as Tom Duffy was told that he was going to be taking the kicking tee. So 770K, again, probably a great, later round draft pick if you're not going really early on fullback. But is there any love there, Matty, for Drinky as a bit of a pod play if you're not looking at Turbo or Ponga for some reason?
No, because I think like Walsh is a pod at 16.8% owned, and Draw wise, it's just a lot better. You'd have to be very high on North Queensland. The draw, if we just bring it up here, like the draw for North Queensland, when I had a look at it a little bit earlier, Manly into the Sharks, into the Broncos, into Canberra. I know that it's light green, but Canberra defensively have always been kind of good, and they were pretty good the other night. Into the Panthers, like they don't start to get good games up until round 6, muddled with a bye there. I love Scotty Drinkwater, but I just can't add him this early on in the season. And I actually think we could get him in the 600Ks maybe after that bye. So,
and then even then is the question: do you want him after that bye? Like, is he a top? Do you see him as a top 5 fullback this year? I think there's a realistic chance we could look at him as a top 5 fullback because he was great in the trial, Josh. But is he a guy that you're going to be looking at a little bit later when the Cows draw opens up, or are you someone that's firmly in the camp of thinking that Cows are going to struggle this year?
Famously, as per my latter predictions. I don't know. Like, I think like if we know that Scott Drinkwater goes on runs where, he has a bit of Reese Walsh-itis about him, where he is on 25 after 80 minutes, and sometimes you play that high variance game, it sometimes goes wrong, and you don't get the attacking returns at the end of the game. And there's a world where he has like a 4 or 5 week average of 40. And we pick him up for, say, 600K. Let's say Iongi tops out. Like, Iongi to Drinkwater whilst the origin period's happening, that definitely could be on the cards. And just have him throughout the mid-season and then look at targeting one of these gun fullbacks at the end of the season. So I'm not writing him off. But for me, it's probably not set and forget. I'm probably more potential keeper
for me.
With Scotty Drink.
I think I'm with you, Matty. Any points against it?
Yeah, I kind of think at 770K it might just be what it says on the tin. But yeah, I mean, what it says on the tin is what, a 75 or something. So yeah, you can keep
that's the problem with these. Like, obviously, like these rankings are my idea, and we'll look at fix them next year. Sorry, but what it says on the tin, we probably should need to rename it, because I think Drinkwater averages what he's priced at, which is what it says on the tin. But we know that 70 plus is much better than Mick Molo averaging 43.
Yeah, that's right, 100%. It's also got to be comparative to the position as well, right? Like, there's a lot of other options there that probably have more value that and we did take on feedback to put value pick above what it says on the tin in the ranking system. So keep your suggestions coming in if you think we can improve this in some way. Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, I'm pretty high on him this year. I'm pretty keen. Obviously, he loses his centre wing duel, Josh, which is the big downer. Otherwise, to be honest, I probably would have started with him this year or found a way to get him into the team. But 650K, nice price. Do I think he exceeds that? Probably at some point. They've got a nice run to start the year, the Dolphins. I think when we bring up their draw, they've got 4 teams in the bottom 8 defensively in their first 5 games. And they've got the Broncos in there too. They go on a bit of a tough run after that from round 6 onwards. So you're probably wanting to bail from round 6 on any of your Dolphins assets, especially a guy so attack central as Hamiso. But any love there, mate?
Yeah, no, not for me. Like, I don't really get. I've never been a Hamiso guy. Like, that's one guy that I've never sort of been able to get around. I don't think I've ever really owned him like as a willing option. So for me, no. I'd rather just take a gamble on Pappy for the same price, aka Melbourne's top scorer this season, as per 33% of this podcast. But the draw is definitely enticing. If you're not going to go Iongi, but you still want sort of 2 gun fullbacks and 1 sort of semi gun, then Hamiso, might be your guy. For me, it's not. But yeah, you boys have been keen in the preseason, so I'm the one on the out here.
I just think the ceiling's there, Matty. Like, and funnily enough, last year he came into the season not ever scoring a Supercoach 100, and last year he went 79-94 to start the season. I thought the curse was continuing. Then he went 112 in round 4, broke the curse. I then came out, I think it was like around the origin period at the end of it, and said, look, Hammer, I don't know whether the ceiling's there. I don't love it because he's only ever scored 100. And then he went on to score 2 more hundreds to finish the year, Matty. So I was very wrong, proven wrong by Hammer. Thanks for that. He also scored that second 100 against Penrith, mind you, which, I didn't predict happening. So we're keen. I've said my piece. What's your if you were trying to sell a Hammer purchase over another one of these guns we've spoken about, how would you do it?
Look, I think he's a flat track bully, and I think he plays some pretty leaky teams early on in the year. I think he is a vibes guy as well. If you love vibes, get the hammer in. But yeah, I just think that the Dolphins again have been kissed on the wee with a fantastic schedule to start the year. Everybody, I don't know. I know you guys probably don't get the Courier Mail or the Sunday Mail from up here in Queensland very often, but they love to smash a Dolphin on there early on in the season, saying that they're taking it to big brothers, the Broncos. But yeah, look, I think that he's been looked after schedule wise for the first 6-7 weeks, and that's when you want to get off him. If he outscored Reese Walsh in the first 6 weeks, I wouldn't be surprised. And you're saving 100K. So yeah, I think he could be a top 5 fullback the first 6 weeks.
Brano, it's always how hard done by the Bronx are, isn't it? And how blessed the Dolphins are. It's never the other way around, is it?
Never.
It's true.
Never. You know what? The one thing I love about Hammer, and let me leave you with this on Hammer. Jamie Chapman.
I was going to say, is it just a Jamie Chapman effect?
There's got to be +5 there somewhere.
But then you have to own Liam Knight, surely.
Oh, actually, good call. Maybe I'll get Liam Knight in my team. Is he in New South Wales Cup Supercoach this year? Surely, or is he? Surely he's on his way to England soon.
Did she play in Vegas? No, she didn't play in Vegas. Jamie didn't play in Vegas, did she?
No.
Nah, Jamie didn't. No.
Outrage.
No, just taking some time with her boyfriend. So hopefully she's all rested and ready to go. But yeah, like Hammer this year. Anyway, we haven't ranked him. I don't think he's a value pick. Is he a potential keeper? I think he goes on runs, so I actually don't think he's a potential keeper either, personally. I think he's a guy you want for the first 5 rounds.
I think it's what it says the TID.
I reckon you're probably going to... I mean, early on, he could average 100 in the first 5 rounds. Maybe that's a bit of a stretch. Maybe he could average 80 in the first 5 rounds and then you bail on him. Yeah. But I think his season average...
That's not even the hottest take of this podcast.
What is?
Matrix said Reese Walsh could reach $1 million. I think that takes the mantle of the hottest take of this podcast.
Hey, I don't know. He could. He could, I reckon, at some point. Hammer what it says on the tin, except obviously this is where the flaw comes into the ranking system where we like him early and hate him against good opposition.
Yeah. Because I think he does have a 25 in him. That's probably a bit rough. Probably a 39.
Yeah, the base is 26, so still a better base than Ponga, funnily enough. But obviously that gets bumped up with scoring. Let's very quickly pass on Cody Ramsey. We love Cody Ramsey here on the Insight Fantasy Sports podcast, but unfortunately just...
Wrong category.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you. There we go. Nah, look, right, honestly, shout out Cody Ramsey for actually getting back on playing.
100%.
Thought that he was just done. So it's been like 3 years for him to get back playing, and we love Cody. I love Cody Ramsey. Shout out Cody Ramsey, but actually don't play the sound. We'll put him in there gracefully. We'll just move on. And he doesn't deserve the sound.
No sound. No sound. We didn't play the sound for KO Weeks either. So, maybe there's a little bit of love there for KO Weeks.
I don't know why we didn't.
Sorry, but can I just stop? If you're one of the 7.9% that have Cody Ramsey, just get Robert Toya, Jackson Purdue, hopefully you've got Tamale. Like, there is 200K options out there. Don't add Cody Ramsey.
Very happy with you that you didn't mention your Broncos 232K centre wing cheapie. Very proud of you. All right, Dylan Edwards, boys, obviously has played in Vegas, so not an option to pick up in your classic teams right now. If you did, he scored 75. You can't be too upset with that. I think that's what he does this year. I think he's a 75 to 80 guy, and I would never be upset with a 75 to 80 guy.
And if Cleary ever goes down, he becomes the most must-have player of all time.
100%. Yep. He'll take the goal kicking. He'll have his hands on everything. We saw it last year, didn't we? Have we looked into I'm sure Josh has done the numbers at some point.
Like 100. It was like 113, 114 with that Cleary.
Jesus. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll wait for that to happen because that might be as inevitable as Turbo going down, to be honest.
I know this is after the weekend, but what impressed me, even though it didn't work out a lot at times, he was the secondary playmaker. It wasn't Jack Cole. He was asked to do a lot more in attack, which I think his ceiling might be, really good this year. But yeah, just super hard to add while Cleary's there, and he's 800k, and you can get Reese Walsh at 100k cheaper, and Kalen Ponga at 50k cheaper. So
for anybody who spent up and got him 840k, you ride the wave now. Yeah. You're not upset with the 75, and I think he'll probably come out of this averaging anywhere between that and 80, 82, and that's great. I think there's just better value for money, but he's definitely a set and forget kind of guy this year for me. No one jumping out at me saying he shouldn't be there.
I could argue potential keeper, top potential keeper. I think the stats are not quite inflated. I think they're a little bit inflated with no Cleary, so I wouldn't be opposed to potential keeper. But I'm not going to argue on you with
Matty. What's your vote? It's 2v1. If whichever way you go, you're the deciding factor. Unless
he says like what it says in the 10, and then we're fucked.
What it says on the 10, and then we just had to put him in value pick. No. I think set and forget at 840k. Yeah.
Very good. All right, Tedesco's next on the list. 4.3% owned. We're talking pod territory now. We're definitely in. When we started talking about Drinky, we're in pod territory at 8%. Now Teddy is half of that ownership. Only 6,000 people own him, but there is a reason for that. He is $920,000. He probably coming off one of the better seasons he's had in his career. At the age that he's at is super impressive for one, but I think Sam Walker being out of the team for the first 10 weeks is a massive downer on Teddy. Yes, he's going to get more ball in his hands, but I don't know whether that's a good thing for Teddy. I think he's going to get worse ball. So we're looking at Sandon Smith and Chad Townsend creating opportunities for Teddy, and I just don't love that for him. So it's hard to rank him in this system. Obviously, probably if you're going to pick him, he's probably a guy you have for the most of the season, but might leave the floor with this one with you guys.
Am I the only one that's in Brother
Nah, I'm there. Let's go. Brano, hand us the mic.
What's that?
Yeah, there we go. Nah, look, taking out 2021 because it's a fake season, it doesn't exist. Last year was probably like a top 5 season of all time, like Supercoach season of all time. It was incredible, absolutely incredible. Average something like, I think I did the numbers when he got dropped from Origin. I think he averaged like 106, and that was from like round 10 onwards. So yeah, I would say like maybe even top 3 Supercoach seasons of all time, taking out the fake year. But yeah, I can't put faith in anyone getting ball from Chad Townsend at 900k. Like I think he averages 71, 72. Like that's a massive drop off.
You know what? I'm going to immediately put him at the top of Brother just because it'll make me feel a bit better.
I don't know. Like we're just saying that Teddy's going to lose 20 points of value. Cody Ramsey is priced at a 20, so he's going to lose 20 points of value as well. It's probably pretty even.
Maybe we do pick Cody.
Yeah, and it's no slight on Teddy. I absolutely love Teddy. I absolutely love what
this is not his fault.
But you take, even you take Kiri and all of his smarts and everything out, and suddenly you've got Sandon Smith and Chad Townsend. Like, sorry, he's just not going to get the good ball. And if he does, he's going to create so much attention. And I've felt the same way about Crichton a little bit. Like everybody's just going to be all over. Like,
do you remember when the Lakers played the Nuggets the other day, and like JJ Redick basically, at the minute Jokic gets the ball, just fucking tackle him. Yeah. That's just going to be what's going to happen with the Roosters. Like, if Teddy doesn't even have the ball, if you're the winger, just stand in front of him. Just leave the other winger wide open and dare them to beat you. Because that's what it's going to be. And this is no slight on Tedesco whatsoever. This is more of a slight on Chad Townsend. So, sorry, Teddy.
Ryan Papenhuyzen's next, guys. 12th most owned, 3.8%, 616k. No goal kicking, which still kind of sucks because we just want goal kicking Pappy back. I don't think we're ever going to see him again unless Nick Meaney leaves the club, and I don't know. I actually don't think we'll see it again just based on his injuries. But everyone's predicting the Storm to go well this year, really well. Like if he stays on the park, what's realistic for him, Josh, to average? I reckon there's every chance he could average 75 for the season. I don't know whether I'm seeing 80 plus because I think you're a bit higher on him than I am.
Me? No, I'm not. The Matrix is way better than I am.
Maybe it's Matty. Yeah.
I'm probably the lowest out of the three of us.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I do think that there could be 15 points of value in him, which is fantastic at 600k. Look, earlier on, before everybody started going Iongi to download, I looked at like the difference of like maybe a Pappy to a Latrell, which was what I was looking to you guys and thinking, I can use that nearly 300K elsewhere, which is great. But now that I've gone away from that and I've got, your Walsh for 100K more, I'm a little bit more off Pappy. And apparently he has even been battered in preseason training, which never bodes well. But yeah, look, I think that if healthy, he could average close to 80. I just don't know if healthy is such a big question mark. And the realization was probably doing a draft the other day, and I took people that I thought were going to average less than Pappy because I was scared of his injuries. So.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? I mean, firstly, you got to feel for the bloke. You just can't stay on the field, and now it's just this other injury concern that's come up 2 weeks before the season, and there's way too much risk for me to be looking at Pappy. But if we think he's going to be a 70, 75, I guess if you're picking him, he's a value pick. If we believe that, I don't know whether Josh believes it though.
If he's on the park, you can't believe he's going to score a 60.
Why not? He scored 66 in non-injury affected games last year. So I think that's just where he's at now.
5 points of value isn't probably enough to be a value pick.
If his average starts with a 7, I'll be shocked.
I think he could average. I think he could average 7. I think I'm probably with value pick. But I get your point. I think he definitely could be what it says on the tin. I think that's probably the other option. You're paying for a 63, you get a 63. I think that there's a 7.
There's still glimpses. Like 132 last year and 92, scored a 73 against the Titans in 39 minutes. And another 100 point there last year. There's still the upside, but with no goal kicking, I'm seeing a lot of 30. A lot of 35, a lot of 39, an 11-point game against the Dragons, Amy Park, in 80 minutes. Ryan Papenhuyzen's 3 years ago is never getting 11, and having the no goal kicking takes the floor out of him. Look, I think he averages 68, 69, which it's 6 points of value. If you want to put him at value pick because you guys are higher on him than me, I'll happily concede that. But I'm not. I'm probably the lowest out of the three of us on Pappy, and that's nothing to do with him. It's just Munster's back, Hughes. Grant, they're going to get theirs. Has Pappy been relegated to the fourth best attacker in this spine?
Define best.
Sorry, I mean most influential, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. But again, he's in a position that's probably the most lethal position on the field too, in terms of from a Supercoach scoring perspective too. So I think we're looking at early 70s personally. I think 71, 72 at the end of the year. I don't see him averaging more than 75, but I think there's enough there to call him a value pick. And I think Matty maybe is agreeing with me. So we'll move on from Pappy. Connor Tracy. We don't really need to talk about Connor Tracy too much. My 4 weeks ago heartthrob. Because I'm happy to concede that, you know what? There's not enough info for me to concede that I was wrong.
Stick with your boy. Don't bail.
I probably will. Well, he's not in my team anymore. He's not in my team anymore. I am a coward, especially on Connor Tracy, who dropped 3 fucking high balls and let in 2 tries and 3 missed tackles, crucial missed tackles in a trial. And I think I'm allowed to overreact to a trial. Thank you very much. Because everybody else does. Everybody else has already mentally traded Luke Metcalf out of their team after Vegas. I'm allowed to get Connor Tracy out of my team for free.
Do you know how overreactionary I was? I changed my team structure after Luke Metcalf put up a stinker so I could get the funds to trade him out.
Look, I think everyone's lying if they didn't think about it. Reworking their team, because the beauty is we still have unlimited trades, so you can shuffle as many things around as you want based on who's locked out. But yeah, look, I think Connor Tracy's probably just what it says on the tin. I don't see him being a brother. I think he'll put up, anywhere between maybe 58 and 62. But I think that's what he's priced at. So that's probably where I'd leave him. Do you agree? Disagree?
That's fair.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not going to lose.
I still think he's a good draft pick.
Tracy.
Yeah. Yeah. Good late draft pick. 100%. You're playing. Sorry, Matrix. Can you say the line? Say the line, Bart. No. His value lies where?
At centre wing.
Thank you. Good. Say the line, Bart. I reckon I've seen that GIF 15 times with you tagged in the WhatsApp.
I know. And then I just don't say anything exactly like that. I'm Cool.
Until you're wearing a shirt on the podcast in a month's time that says his value lies at centre wing right on the front of it. Let's talk Clinton Gutherson really quickly. Looked good in the trial, didn't he? In everything. I don't think he's ever going to let you down, but I also don't think he's going to win you Supercoach. But there is this point every year, Josh, where he goes on a run, and you just got to own Gutherson at the time when he goes on a run, and that might be when the Dragons' draw opens up. I haven't looked too deeply into the Dragons' draw, but is obviously a good draft pick. Is there any reason to pick him in Classic with so many other options? I don't think there is.
No, not for me. Shout out Gutho, but yeah, no, not my guy.
I'm the same. Anything to add, Matty?
No.
What it says on the tin, I think, is probably what we get for Clinton Gutherson at the end of the year. But yeah, get on him when the draw opens up.
Remember, can we just reminisce on goal kicking Gutho at Parramatta for like 6 weeks?
What a time. Well, I mean, goal kicking Gutho will come back. Oh, no, Kyle Flanagan will probably take it, won't he, during Origin. Damn, I was actually thinking for a sec he might get it during the middle of the year. Because Gutho was always an option through the buys. Always, every year. He's a guy that we looked at. So, sad. Big sad. Will Kennedy's already played. 4,800 people own him. Where are we putting him? I don't even really think we need to talk about him.
What it says on the tin.
Can we make another thing, another tier, and we just call it next contract equals Super League?
Yeah, we're gonna put like who's one of the best. Brody Croft will be the category.
Can we put the Bevan? Can we put a Bevan French tier?
Yeah, that'd actually be good. Like, no good for NRL, but would be a fucking jet in the Super League. That should be
Man of Steel. We can just next year we have to do a Man of Steel tier.
To be fair, he was okay the other night. He was all right. Definitely not saying that he was bad. He did a job. But yeah, not a guy that you're going to be picking in Supercoach. I wouldn't have thought this year. So we'll put him in 10. All right, this one's interesting. Lehigh Hopewadi, named on the wing for Manly. Being confirmed that he's locked in a spot, 589K. In games that he played on the wing, he averaged 65 last year. Base power of 44.7, which really surprised me. I was actually surprised when I saw that base. Obviously not amazing, but there is a floor there of some sort that is relatively high. And the try-scoring upside at Manly, we talked about their draw earlier, Matty. Any love for Lehigh Hopewadi, or are we buying guys like... I mean, you're obviously spending the extra K to get Garrick. I guess it comes down to how many Manly players you have and you're comfortable having through that run.
Yeah, I don't get it, to be honest. Like, he's an exciting watch. I really like the kid. Am I paying this money for him? No. Like, that's just madness. Paying 589K for a guy with zero job security that's extremely talented but doesn't really have a spot locked down. If he's 389K, by all means, add him. But Tommy Talau's injured, and he's confirmed that Lehigh Hopewadi gets it. Do I think Lehigh Hopewadi's better than Tommy Talau? Then, yeah, probably. But do I think that he will continue to get the spot from him? I'm not convinced.
It's, in my opinion, I think it's Lehigh Hopewadi's wing. He's on the left wing, and I think Saab's been announced today that he'll be on the right with Talau out, and it came down to those two and what's his name? Falalo or whatever his name is. So I think Lehigh Hopewadi stays there on the wing, but the fact we're talking about him this long, I like him as a player. I just think maybe I'd probably pick Marju 80K cheaper. I'd pick Skelton 90K cheaper. Maybe that's Tiger's bias, but yeah. Any thoughts, Josh, on Hopewadi?
Actually, I think I'm probably higher than you guys. I think Anthony Seibold came out and like a week ago basically confirmed 4 of his back 5, and Lehigh Hopewadi was in that 4. And left wing at Manly has been proven to be a really hot commodity. So if you listen to Over the Cap, our new show, Jaden actually tipped in for top try scorer this year. So definitely, yeah, if you're getting top try scorer, if you're getting Alex Johnson at 489K, then especially with the opening draw, I actually don't.
He's 589.
589. Never mind. Fuck that. He's a bum. What is it?
Yeah, thanks.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That changes. I'm probably less keen as a pick then. But I would just have what it says on the tin. I think he can average somewhere around 60.
Yeah, I'd probably say I wouldn't be surprised if I saw a 6 at the start of his average. Whether it's high 6s or low 6s, great. But I don't know whether there's value there to pick him at that price. Does that make him a potential keeper if we see him averaging 60 over the season? 60 plus?
It'd have to be like top end of 60.
High 60s.
Otherwise, it's just like you're paying for what you get.
Yeah, that's fair. So
Yeah.
do we say that what it says on the tin based on
What it says,
price?
What it says
Yeah.
on the tin. And I'm not saying he's a bad player. I think that, yeah,
Yeah, I like him. He's a
again,
good player.
he will just score that. But why not get Marju, who we think is going to score 60 or something along those lines? Yeah.
Yeah, spot on. Josh Papali'i, 17th most owned. I think everybody probably watched the trial and hasn't opened the app since. 2.6% owned. I mean, maybe people are hoping that it ends up being him instead of Isaiah Yongi, which I don't. Well, I'm very confident in saying that won't be.
Won't be, but you can try.
Yeah. I mean, but in saying that, if he does get a crack, he's a guy we'll look at because he was electric. And
That's the
he's
beauty, isn't it? That's the beauty of Iongi. Like people are like, oh, he's job secure. He's not like locked in. Well, the good thing is his competition is the exact same price. So,
cheaper,
yeah,
even
well,
better.
yeah, cheaper. Yeah, so wheels up, Iongi.
Papali'i obviously just has to be brother unless he gets a game. But
Yeah, brother.
when he gets a game, he becomes a value pick very, very quickly. So
Even
just-
more brother
just keep
if
that
he's
in
off the bench too. Fuck that.
Yeah, and the 14 sucks if he's named in the 14. I mean, Riley Smith probably ends up being in the 14 for the Eels based on all the news that we've heard out of Eels camp, but good player. Very, very good player. When he gets his chance, we'll be all over him. Tolu Kola, 18. Where do we, brother or what it says on the tin?
Probably just what it says on the tin.
Yeah, what it
Am I the
says.
only
It
one
was.
that rates- Am I the only one that rates Tolu Kola like more as a footy player than most people? I feel like everyone just
No,
is
no.
off him all this.
No,
I
I'm
got him
a
in
big
draft.
fan of Kola. I like Kola. I think if he got an opportunity, even if he went to another club, right, and he got an opportunity at fullback or even got to play on a wing or something like that, fuck, I would be all over him to start the year. And the price at $455K is nice. It's just I don't love him at centre. And even now, there's rumour that he's going to start in a 14 jersey and shit at times. Like, I don't know. I don't love
Can
it.
we buy him? I'd actually take him for us at centre.
Yeah, 100%. I'd definitely
I'd love
take him.
him.
Who will pick at centre this year? Stafford-Toa.
Safatoa and Dewey. And I don't know. All right, Safatoa. He's like 23. Safatoa's a lot younger than you think, by the way.
Yeah, I know. It just feels like he's had that many season-ending
feels like he's
injuries
been
that he
here
should
for
be
10
30.
years.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big Kohler fan, but just the price and the role
Yeah.
at Manly is yuck. So what it says on the tin there, I think. Fuck me. How'd this guy get in the list? Blake Taff, 2.6.
Nice.
There's one in every list, 386K.
I think we put him in set and forget purely off preseason hair.
Yeah, definitely took out the haircut category in the preseason for sure. There's a bit of Donald Trump about his hair, isn't there? Like awkward half comb over, even to the sides is combed back too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Trump about it. Sorry, Blake Taff, you're in the brother category. Mate. This one, there's a bit to talk about with Jaden Campbell though. Round one buy has put everyone off. 700K though. People are, I should say 2.4% of people. So not many people, but there's still people out there stashing him on the bench for the round one buy, unless they've got a really good VC from one of the first rounds. You've VC'd Ramian or someone like that. I don't know. You're higher on the Titans, but a different Titan that we would have talked about in the 5'8", or sorry, in the centre wing episode. Josh.
Oh, the brim job.
Yeah, the brim job. You're
Dude,
pretty high on the brim job. Any love for JC? Considering you'll be bells, won't you?
I was a big fan in round 7 last year. He was 400K. Don't know if I can pay north of 700. Like that's pretty cooked. No, I'd rather just take Brim or fuck. I'd even take. Would I take Keeney? Probably not. I think I'd take Brim, then I'd take JC, then Keeney. For me, it's probably slightly overpriced, but like not enough to be like brother. So probably like not like high 60s. So that'd be like what potential keeper.
Yeah. What do you think, Matty?
Yeah, I think he's going to be involved. I think if the Titans succeed, he's going to be really good. But yeah, priced at a 72 or something. Yeah, it's a bit gross price wise, and especially how bad these guys have been. And yeah,
we're talking about a 70. We're thinking it's. I know you're thinking what it says on the tin if it's a 70, but that's a potential keeper at 5'8". Where we can use him. You're not picking him at fullback, but at 5'8", you're taking a 70 and you're saying, that he can stay there?
Yeah.
I think so. I think he's a potential keeper personally.
Yeah, I won't argue with you.
Okay. Obviously, outside of the top 20 most owned, we usually bring a player to you every single tiers episode. I'll kick things off and get mine out of the way because it's very, very slim amount of options outside the top 20. But Keone Keeney, Josh, you might not be keen. I would be. The only downside is that he is fullback only, and obviously starting with the bye in a fullback slot that is very valuable to us in Supercoach. He could be an incredibly good pod. The reason he's 723k is because he averaged 72 points last year, and base of 34. I feel like the floor is there for him, but the ceiling is fucking massive. Like there were 4 games where last year he scored 112, 132, 153, 124, and there's some 80s in there. There's some 60s in there. I mean, he did start slow, but obviously, in a new team, in a new role, he probably not in a new role, but in a new team at the NRL level, he started with 330s in a row. So that would have kind of, I guess, crashed his average. I don't know. I'm pretty keen on Keeney. Like if they didn't have a buy in round 1, I'd be seriously looking at him as an option to start. And I guess we'd be putting in the same category as a Ryan Papenhuyzen or even a Campbell as a potential keeper. Matty, any love for Keeney at all? Would you be talking people out of it?
No, I mean, you've got more faith in the Titans if you've got Keeney. There's also like a few guys coming back less injured, and I wonder if he'll get a little bit less quality ball with foreign out as well. I'm not super high on Keeney. I mean, but like it's a bit of a nothing because not many people have him. So yeah.
Yeah. We don't have to tier him because it's just one that we're picking outside the top 20 most owned. But I like him as a player. I think he's a seriously talented player. We've seen him at international level carve up as well. I think he's going to be a big player of the future. Would I pick him to start the year? Look, probably not because of the buy. But you'd be silly not to look at him if his price comes down a little bit and Titans open up or Titans show us, Josh, that they can actually score some points, which we're banking on with Brimson and potentially even Campbell for feeder. Those guys are going to be probably pretty popular come 2, 3, 4 when things open up for the Titans.
Yeah, like if that attack clicks, talk about a team that could win 50-48, like it's the Titans. So, if they're attacking and humming, absolutely. But for me, it's like there's better options. And I'd rather just wait before taking the plunge, especially at fullback. Like if he was center wing, you could probably pay 700k and be like, yeah, I'll wait the week. But for fullback, I just want to wait. Yeah.
I mean, and he's a guy you can get when things open up, or one of your other fullback options maybe doesn't go as well as you planned, or you need to bounce off when they've topped out in cash or whatever it be, when the draw gets tough. Josh, who's your one outside the top 20, mate?
Still Trell Mitt. I know that he's out for up to 7 weeks, which is not ideal, but more of a drafting. I'm still pretty keen to draft him back into the first round. If you're pick 9, pick 10, pick 11, and Trell's still on the board, then absolutely snap him up, and then you can probably just grab Jai Gray, 14th, 15th round, which is exactly what I've done in a few drafts. So you've got the cover there. I'm really buying into Trell this year. Like the injury at the start of the year does hamper him. But I was confident to put him as my fullback 1 on draft boards. And if betting markets are open, like I would have backed him for the Dally M. Like I'm really, really keen on Trell. I think he's the focal point of the South attack. I think it's crazy. Like Trell is the most disrespected player, Supercoach player, I think, of all time. Averaged 88 last year and people just don't care. Like it's crazy. Like Teddy averaged 92 and everyone's like, oh my God, like some podcast said he's a top 5 Supercoach season of all time, and Trell was 4 points behind that. Like, and in a season where he was, by his standards, pretty dog shit. Like, he's a guy that just racks up points. Really good goal kicker, focal point of the attack. They love to use him in set plays. When he wants to be, he'll just shrug off anyone and beat 3 guys and score. Like, I'm a huge Trell fan, so yeah, not for Classic right now, and I think the top end of his performance can maybe be a little bit hampered with this Hemi, but I'm still really, really, really keen on him.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody will be come round 7 or 6 when he's back. Anything to add, Matty?
No, not really. Trell would be right up there if he was healthy. He's just not. So
I would.
Who's yours, mate?
If Trell was fit, I wouldn't be having Iongi. Like, I want all 3 that bad.
I'm the same. He was locked into my team until he was injured. That's how Iongi came back into my team. So, I agree with you. Matty, who's yours outside the top 20, mate?
How do you say hello in Fijian?
Yeah, Jareem?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, if you think that the Tigers are going to make a step up and and Luai's going to get him some more quality ball. He has shown growth in all of his seasons, and I think he's pretty talented. Look, he's 1% owned. If I was fading fullback in drafts, and I have really missed out, Jareem is somebody that I'd look at. I don't really see a regression. He's always scored that sort of 57, 58. Yeah, I do really like him. So, yeah, look, a bit mid because, somebody that if you think he's got 6 or 7 points of value, then he's still only scoring a 65. But, yeah, definitely for draft. And it's hard. Like, there's only 17 starting fullbacks in the comp, and we've just named 20 fullbacks. But, yeah, I think Jareem, there is a touch of value there if you're high on the Tigers and you think Luai can get him some good ball.
I thought you were actually going to come out and say that you predicted Dane Laurie to average 85 plus this year.
I thought about it.
Yeah, I bet you did. You know what? I don't mind, Josh, if you're a guy that's going to take a punt on Trell, late first round, if he slides or whatever it be, just handcuffing him with Jai Gray just for the first 6 rounds in draft. Like, could be the ultimate play.
That's what I did. Also, in my main draft, I drafted Trell with 3rd overall pick. And 2 days later, he went down. But I forgot that I drafted Trell. I took Gutho in the 2nd round. So, stonks. Just take 2 good fullbacks and then just trade one of them later on for.
I remember you were having the world's biggest cry as well because you didn't realize that you had 2 fullbacks in the first 2 rounds. Fucking how well has that worked out? Beautiful.
And now I'll trade Gutho for, I don't know, Jaden Sewer in like 6 weeks time.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, like I think Jai Gray, if like Trell back into if Trell's like at the 10th, 11th pick, man, like how can you not? And then just taking Jai Gray.
100%. I love it. I really like that handcuff play. Guys, fullback done in an hour. One of the longer tier episodes that we've done, but fullback, there's plenty to talk about and plenty of relevance in that position for draft and for classic. So hopefully you got something out of it. And also, any suggestions on the tiers and what you'd like to see. We've already added it. We're going to be adding a Man of Steel tier next year for sure. So that's locked in. But make some suggestions on what you'd like to see next year with the positional picks. Obviously, throughout the season as well, we've got a bit of a schedule locked in. Josh, you're going to be recording Over the Cap on a Tuesday. When's that going to come out, mate?
Whenever your child goes to bed and you can post it for me. So probably first thing Wednesday morning. Should be up in your feeds by 7 a.m. Wednesday. We will also record our exclusive Patreon Q&A on a Tuesday night as well. Bad day to be my partner on a Tuesday. And we will also be recording our stock standard preview, TLT previews, buy, hold, and sells, the works, the bread and butter of our show on a Wednesday. That'll be a live show, so that'll be up on demand pretty much straight away to go. And are we doing a Sunday show? Have we locked that in?
Yeah, I think people love the Sunday show, Matty, because it's a little bit looser, isn't it, Matty? Where we've just watched games of footy, had a few beers watching the footy, and people can just crack a tin open and come and listen to us have a chat about the games on a Sunday night.
I'm sick of cracking tins. I need to get some Guava Cruises vocabulary happening.
Yeah, so that's the last you've ever seen of Josh, the Supercoach Whisperer at the Inside Fantasy Podcast Network. It's been a great ride. It's been good having you on, Josh. It
doesn't hit the same, does it? It's not the crack of the kid. It's just like the really piss weak.
And then suddenly,
especially if it's been in the fridge for a week as well. Yeah, look, I'm sorry. We won't be talking about cruises.
I'm sorry if No Sugar Guava Cruises want to sponsor us. Look, I'm all in.
So you're not keen for a Rushkey sponsorship if I can get it in the works with the
Aldi
brand?
As long as they have a no sugar option, because you only get out what you put in. So,
of course.
Good shout. But yes, we'll be coming to you Sunday live, Wednesday live. And then we'll have our exclusive stuff inside the Patreon on the Tuesday night, as well as Over the Cap will be coming to you either Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. So very full schedule at Insight Fantasy Sports, but hopefully you guys get plenty of it through the season. Thanks to everybody who's jumped on board and become a subscriber as well. There's over 250 of you now that have supported the show. So we really appreciate you and love all the questions coming in. We've got plenty to go for tomorrow when we go and do that Patreon Q&A. So if you want to get your questions answered, you can become a subscriber. The link is in the description below. Otherwise, thanks for watching, guys. Let us know what you thought of the tiers, and we will see you for the next episode, which will probably end up being TLT live. Catch you then.
Cheerio.